Am I the a-hole for canceling the wedding because my fiancé made a secret deal with my dad? I, 28 female, was supposed to get married 2 months ago to my fiancé, 30 male. We had been together for 5 years. He proposed during a vacation in Santorini, and it felt like the most perfect moment of my life. I truly believed I had found my person. Planning the wedding was stressful but exciting. I come from a well-off family, and my dad had offered to pay for a large portion of it. He has always been a bit controlling, especially when it comes to money. He used to tell me growing up that I needed to protect myself financially, especially in relationships. I thought it was just fatherly advice. Sometimes it bordered on paranoia, but I chalked it up to him having seen some ugly divorces in his line of work. He's a lawyer. 2 weeks before the wedding, my dad and I were having lunch and going over some final guest list stuff when he said something that completely blindsided me. I don't remember his exact words, but it was something like, "At least now I know he's signed the prenup. Money well spent." I stopped eating and asked him what he meant, and he brushed it off at first, then said he had offered my fiancé a significant sum of money to sign a prenup he drafted months ago. Not a mutual prenup, not something we created together, something he wrote up himself behind my back, and my fiancé agreed to it. I went home that night and confronted my fiancé. At first, he looked like a deer in headlights, then he admitted it. Yes, my dad approached him with a prenup. Yes, he signed it. And yes, he accepted the money. His reasoning? He didn't want to stress me out. He said my dad was being intense, and he just wanted to keep the peace. He claimed he was always planning to tell me, eventually. He just didn't know how. The part that hurt the most wasn't even the prenup itself. Honestly, I understand the value of one, especially with the wealth imbalance between me and my fiancé. I would have been totally fine discussing it openly. What broke me was the secrecy. The fact that 2 of the most important men in my life made a deal about my future without me. The fact that money was exchanged like my marriage was some business arrangement. I felt like I was being handled, not respected. I called off the wedding the next day. It wasn't a dramatic scene. I just told him I couldn't go into a marriage with that kind of breach of trust hanging over us. He begged me to reconsider. He said it was a stupid mistake, that he did it for me, that he didn't want to start our life together with conflict. He said we could rip up the prenup, but the damage was done. He made a life-altering financial decision about our marriage without even consulting me, and the only reason I found out was because my dad accidentally let it slip. Since then, everyone has had an opinion. My mom thinks I overreacted and says I'm throwing away a great relationship over a technicality. My friends are split. Some say I dodged a bullet. Others think I'm being cold. My dad, who caused all this, is now acting like he was the victim and says he was just trying to protect me. My ex has been texting and calling nonstop, saying he still wants to make things right. I miss him. I still love him. But I can't shake the feeling that if he hid this from me before the wedding, what else would he be willing to hide in the future? So, am I the a-hole for calling the whole thing off? Now for the top comments. I don't think the dad wanted her to marry this guy. He conveniently let it slip? Now he is playing protective father? Yeah, dad let it slip that her boyfriend could be bought. Yay, dad. Not the a-hole. Yup. If dad can buy him now, what else is he trading for down the line? Loyalty ain't supposed to be negotiable. Trust your gut and don't ignore early signs. Marriage only magnifies that mess. Better a canceled wedding than a lifetime of second-guessing. Honestly, feels like a setup the more I think about it. My dad got what he wanted and gets to play the hero now. Interesting how both men claim they just wanted to protect you, but failed to see that they treated you as a child. Oh my God, thank you. I've been saying this to everyone in real life, but they keep acting like I'm dramatic for being mad about being excluded from my own marriage plans. The boyfriend was doomed to lose. The father would use the boyfriend's refusal to sign the agreement to tell his daughter that the fiancé was interested in the money. If he accepted the blackmail, the father would say the fiancé had accepted the money behind his daughter's back. The fiancé always lost. The father knows what a spoiled daughter he has, and knew that the one who would pay for his daughter's anger would always be the fiancé, because daddy's girl would never believe her father is Machiavellian. Congratulations, OP, you fell into daddy's trap. Next story. Am I the a-hole for agreeing to privately put an engagement ring on my sister because I helped buy it? I, 26 male, have been married for 2 years and have been with my wife for 5. My sister, 24 female, recently got engaged to her long-term boyfriend, and I was genuinely happy for her. A few days after the proposal, she confided in me that while she loved her fiancé and knew money was tight for both of them, she was a little disappointed that the engagement ring only cost $70. She didn't know how to bring it up to him without sounding ungrateful. Eventually, she, her fiancé, my wife, and I sat down together, and I offered to lend them some money to upgrade the ring. They accepted, bought a new one, and even did a redo of the proposal celebration. My sister was over the moon with it, and her fiancé was also grateful. My wife had no problem with me lending the money to my sister. She totally supported it. However, last week my sister called me late at night and said she had a kind of weird request. She asked if I could be the one to put the ring on her finger in a private setting. Nothing elaborate, just something symbolic. Her reasoning was that, since I technically helped buy the ring, she wanted that moment to be a representation of our close sibling bond. She also mentioned wanting to take some pictures of the moment. I'll admit I found the request odd, but my sister has always been a bit unconventional and sentimental in her own way. I brought it up with my wife, thinking she'd just find it quirky too, but she was shocked and upset. She said it was a highly inappropriate and intimate gesture that crossed a line. She especially took issue with the idea of it being just the two of us in a private setting, with pictures taken. She told me that it wasn't about the money anymore. The symbolism felt off to her, and she couldn't understand why my sister would even think to ask me something like that. I told my wife that this is just how my sister is, and it wasn't meant to be romantic or strange, just meaningful in her own way. But my wife doubled down and said it was crossing boundaries and made her extremely uncomfortable. I was really surprised that my wife was uncomfortable with it, but I also don't want to hurt my sister's feelings. She was legit crying on the call when she spoke to me about her request. Am I the a-hole for wanting to go through with the request, even though it would make my wife uncomfortable? I've never heard of this before, and honestly, it's pretty creepy. Why would you want to? It's honestly going to seem very weird when you guys post pics, and it's you proposing to your own sister. The only person putting a ring on her should be her fiancé. The engagement ring is a symbol of their commitment to their partner regardless of who bought the ring. You're the a-hole, and your sister sounds like someone that does weird stuff and says she's unconventional. Super cringe. Just to clarify, my sister isn't planning to post the photos anywhere or make it public. It's meant to be a private moment between us, something sentimental and symbolic to honor our sibling bond since I helped buy the ring. She wanted us to dress nicely and make it feel like a special occasion, just a meaningful memory shared between a brother and sister. I get that it's unconventional, but it's coming from a place of gratitude and closeness, not anything weird. Ew, your wife is correct. That is bizarre. Agreed. So what happens to the actual person she is marrying? Just too weird. You're the a-hole. I bet she didn't tell the fiancé she was asking her brother for an emotionally incestual private proposal. Exactly. A healthy way of acknowledging his support would be to make him a ring bearer at the wedding, but the only person who should be putting a ring on her finger is her soon-to-be husband. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my ex to leave after she broke up with me and expected to keep living with me rent-free? So the gist of it is, about 2 years ago, I let my girl and her best friend move in with me. The plan was they would both move out here, find a job, and I would handle most of the house bills, while they would buy stuff for the house and save up so we could move somewhere bigger. It started off rocky with them taking a while to get a job and contribute, but they did move out here, so I tried to be understanding. Well, not even 4 months into this, they both started to call out of work frequently, until the job barely put them on the schedule. And so, the little bit they were contributing stopped. My girl eventually got a new job, but her friend just quit hers, and my girl ended up supporting her and couldn't help with anything else. After a while, I got fed up with a friend and told her she needed to find a job, or DoorDash or something, anything other than lay around the house all day. And she immediately moved in with some rich guy she met online. Cool, now it's just my girl and me, so I think we're about to lock in. Nope. After about 2 months, her new job fires her and she gets a job at Amazon, which she also quits. Then she gets a job at an HVAC company as a salesperson. Now we're almost caught up. So this whole time we are pretty close, and even during the hard times, I feel like we have each other's backs. Well, at the beginning of this month, my girl gets an offer for a new job paying a lot better. And out of the blue, she wants to break up. But here's the kicker. She wants to continue living with me until she gets her own better place, our original shared goal if you remember, while still not paying anything. I tried to put my feelings aside and told her I was fine with her staying, if she could actually help out until she left, which she said she would. Well, that turned into weeks of not only nothing, but also being ignored and other hurtful actions. So I finally had enough and told her to leave. The thing is, now I feel like an a-hole. Now for the top comments before reading the mini update. Not the a-hole, and almost patient to a fault. I don't think most people would entertain 2 years of mooching. Yeah, over the years, I've been real nice to folks when I was in my 20s and early 30s about helping them get back on their feet. Though I had rules. First month free. If you can't find a job in the first month, then you need to start looking for somewhere else to live. Because if you can't pay rent, which I always made very low, then you need to find a new place. Once you get a job, that first check is yours. The second check, though, goes towards rent. Depending when you got it and how much you can pay, I'll prorate it in a way. The third check goes to you getting stuff for yourself and work. Then fourth check should be for your bills. This gets them not only back on their feet, but used to paying bills on time and spreading it out. By the third month, the good ones were working and paying. The ones that weren't trying were gone. Not the a-hole. Wow, you have the patience of a saint. She is a user and a taker. She saw her friend land a rich guy, so she wants that too. Unfortunately, she also wants to continue using you till she does. Throw her out. She can go live with her friend. They're both a-holes. I'm not a saint. That's why I try to be understanding and patient. And ironically, I bet that's exactly what she did, since the guy gave the other girl a whole basement or something and a car. You left out how you met your girlfriend and built the relationship to the point of even being your girlfriend, let alone moving in with you. It sounds like you had a long-distance connection, never really knew the girl that well since you weren't geographically close until she moved in. She and her friend probably decided that you seemed nice enough for them to stay with and take advantage of the free rent until they can find a job or a sugar daddy. You need some boundaries. You kinda got it perfect. We dated for about 6 to 7 months before she moved in which time I probably seemed like I was doing better than I was, since I tried to pay for everything and they decided I could handle taking care of 2 extra people, I guess. I clocked her friend for what she was a long time ago, but you know what they say, rose-colored glasses and all. Now for the mini update. Honestly, you all don't even understand how much it helps hearing people tell me I'm not wrong for feeling wronged, even if it's strangers online. I did finally man up and tell her she needed to find somewhere to go by the time I got home from my 12-hour shift, which includes about 2 hours of commute time now, so she had about 14 hours. But even though she was supposedly working on moving out and had plenty of time to pack and leave without me even being there, I felt like a prick about it for a while now. Guess I need to grow up. I shouldn't be surprised by people like this at 30. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend he needs to propose this year or I'm leaving? My boyfriend and I have been together for 7 years. We met in college and started dating in our early 20s. Back then, neither of us was thinking too far ahead. Marriage felt like a someday kind of thing. We were growing together, figuring things out, and honestly just enjoying being with each other. But now we're 30, and I've started feeling like I'm the only one still thinking seriously about the future. Over the past 3 years, I've brought up marriage multiple times. At first, he said he wanted to wait until he finished graduate school. I understood that. Then it became about getting his career in order. He got a good job, but then it shifted again to wanting to travel more and enjoy our freedom before settling down. Every time I asked when he thought we'd take the next step, it was always some vague answer. Soon, when things settled down, after the next promotion. Last year, I thought he was finally going to do it. We went on this amazing vacation, and I genuinely believed he might propose. He didn't. When I brought it up a few weeks later, he laughed and said we had plenty of time and that marriage was just a formality anyway. I didn't find it funny. I felt like I had been waiting for something that clearly wasn't coming. So a month ago, I sat him down and told him plainly that I needed clarity. I said I didn't want to pressure him, but I also didn't want to waste more years hoping he'll change his mind. I told him I need to know that this is leading somewhere. I said if we aren't engaged by the end of this year, I'm done. I can't keep waiting while my life is on hold. He said I was giving him an ultimatum and that it felt manipulative. He told me proposals should come from love, not pressure. I get that. I really do. But I also feel like I've been incredibly patient. I've stood by him through job changes, his anxiety around money, his family issues. I've never once pressured him to propose on my timeline. But now it feels like he's just avoiding it completely, and I don't know if he ever really plans to marry me. I'm not trying to trap him or rush him into something he doesn't want. I just want to know if we're on the same page, or if I've been waiting for someone who doesn't actually want the same future as me. Some of my friends think I'm doing the right thing by drawing a line. Others think I'm being too aggressive, and that I should be grateful he's still committed even if he isn't proposing yet. I'm feeling torn. I don't want to leave, but I also don't want to keep dragging this out and looking back years from now wondering why I stayed. So, am I the a-hole for giving him a deadline to propose, or I walk? Proposals come from love. I'm sorry, but there's your answer. It's up there with what Prince Charles said when asked at the engagement announcement if they were in love, whatever love means. So yeah, dude's comfy, but not in love. Honey, he doesn't want to marry you, point blank, or he would. Move on and find your future husband. This happened to my godmother. She wasted 10 years hoping he'd propose. He eventually broke up with her because he didn't want to settle down yet. And then he moved on quick, proposed to the next girl within 3 years, and then had a baby. The next man my godmother dated wasted no time, loved her, knew what was important to her, proposed, and were married in 3 to 4 years, and they're on baby number 2. Unfortunately, some men just won't end it and will waste a woman's time just to not be alone. And they always marry the next girl, like they realize they hate being single and don't hesitate to marry the next rando they date when they want marriage. I've seen it happen a few times with acquaintances, and it never works out.